Today, I'm sitting here with Davey Gravy. Davey, how do you actually say your real last name?
Lesky.
Lesky. Davey Lesky, David Lesky, but we're going to call you Davey Gravy because that's how I know you and that's who he is on social media. Davey is a photographer and videographer here in Calgary, Alberta. I met Davey about 2-ish years ago here at where we're sitting. Used to be Socality House, a creative house here in Calgary. And I've been lucky to know you now on a friend level for a couple of years, which has been really cool. I also have seen you online as an inspiring creator, photographer, videographer, and I've kind of been watching from the sidelines like, whoa, what is he doing? He's doing some cool stuff. If you look up Davey on all of the channels, Instagram, YouTube, you'll see that he does a lot of reviews of like technology. He has photos of his wife and his new baby, a lot of nature. He is doing creation of all sorts. He has also worked with big brands like Travel Alberta, Neo Financial, Flair Airlines, American Express, and more. Thank you, Davey, for being here.
Great to be here.
I had a chance to look into your story a little bit. What I found is in a blog that is over 10 years old, you mention, and I quote, "I don't consider myself a photographer." I want to start there.
10 years ago. What was I doing 10 years ago?
Yeah.
I think I started taking photos 10 years ago, 10 or so years ago. Yeah, I don't know even today, I don't know if I consider myself a photographer. I don't even know if I consider myself creative, to be honest.
Well,
I have this habit since I've graduated that I just kind of follow my passion and what's interesting in front of me. So for a while it was art, like traditional art. And then I realized that kind of worked for me. And then I did fiber and cross stitching. And then from that, I found photography and cameras. And I really liked the community that was around cameras and social media. And then I found video. And then as soon as I've learned one of these skills, all of these doors have opened since. And I feel like I use a camera, but I don't know if I'm a photographer.
yeah, interesting. I like that you say that. And I kind of want to dive into the passion side of things because I can really relate to that too, as someone who really has built my career off of things that I just love in my life. There's not a lot of people who follow life like that. I would say there's kind of there's more than two paths, but these two pretty obvious ones where it's like, okay, you go to school, you get a job, you follow what you were taught in school and you create this life. And then it's like, you kind of figure it out. And it sounds like we can relate on that front of just, no, this feels right. So I'm going to figure it out. So now, fast forward 10 years, you said, since you picked up a camera, you're working with these large companies and opportunities have been coming to you. At what point did it switch from just, I enjoy this to this is my career and I'm being paid for it?
I think it was accidental. I accidentally made friends with some really talented people and was able to ask them questions, and they were a couple steps ahead of me. So I'm very and then when opportunities came their way, they just and they weren't able to do them, or they just needed a hand. They were very gracious and invited me to help out, taught me what they knew. So that was in maybe 2015, 2016. And it was all just baby steps. It wasn't one overnight decision.
Okay, so accidental. So if you're listening, you're like, how do I do it? You just gotta fall into it.
Now it's really easy to look back and see. I wish I was a little bit more strategic. It's so easy to see how I got to where I am today, looking backward.
Someone's like, okay, give me something practical. Because I know, especially in 2025, but even for the last 10 years, people are seeing this opportunity behind their device, behind their phone, behind their cameras, behind social media that's like, wow, I can step into this and I can actually create a career out of it. I can make money with this. I can have more freedom in my life. So say someone's like, okay, where would I start? What would you say?
I would say use what you already have and treat it like an experiment. You don't have to say, I'm going to quit everything and do this thing. You can just say, I'm going to try doing this thing, following this passion that I want to do for a couple days. It's an experiment. It's not like a commitment. And then you have the permission if when 30 days or that time period is over to evaluate and be like, did I even enjoy this? Did I get the results that I wanted? Decide if you want to continue pursuing it or not. For myself, when I was way back when I had a full-time job, I was working doing something that I enjoyed. I was working at a school creating videos with a friend at that school. And I was like, this is it. This is insane. I'm getting paid to make photos, videos, something that I really enjoy. However, I was getting all this work on the side. And I was like, is this safe? I don't see many people quitting their jobs to go like make photos and videos for these companies. In a couple of years, is this still going to be a thing? So I actually saw some people doing it. I took them out for coffee. They were gracious enough to meet with me and they said, yeah, this is like worth it. Here's the pros, here's the cons. And I continued working at that job for another year or so and really grinded in the evenings and weekends and summers because it was a school. So I had summers off. And I got a taste of what that would look like and started supplementing my income and matching what I was doing at that job. So it's just kind of baby steps towards that. And I had that. I didn't have a kid. I wasn't married. I had low rent. So it wasn't that large of a risk. If I were to do that now, it'd be a little bit more risky, but there's definitely some ways to make some more calculated risks nowadays.
And so you said you sat down with these people who had kind of done what you wanted to do. And they were like, here are the pros and here are the cons. I'm curious, what are the cons? What did they say? Like, be weary of X, Y, and Z.
First one was taxes and accounting. When you work for a company, they just send you a T4. All the accounting stuff is like done for you. Just hand your accountant the papers. Doing it for yourself is a lot trickier. It's still difficult. I still have troubles and I've been doing this for years. So definitely taxes and money and stuff. Finding motivation is difficult. It's easy if you have a 9 to 5 and if you don't show up, you're going to get fired. I go through seasons where I'm quite busy and seasons where I'm not. And the seasons where I'm not busy, it is sometimes difficult to wake up first thing, open the laptop because nobody needs me to do that. When you work for a business or a company, you also kind of have a built-in friend group and like a community of people doing stuff together. And if you're working for yourself, it's a lot more difficult to find people on the same schedule as you doing similar stuff and passionate about the same stuff. And so you have to make like a more concerted effort to like go out and find those people versus just showing up to work and you can all complain together and all rejoice together.
No, those are all good. And I mean, I can relate to those in the journey of entrepreneurship. And it's a lonely journey really at the beginning when you are finding your footing. And I am glad that you met people who were like, hey, here's some cons, like here's some truth around it. Cause I think it's really easy to see kind of like the golden ticket of business ownership and like freedom. And people are like, yeah, come with me. And then you get there and it's like, whoa, wait, like I have to track all of my taxes and like finances and everything. And I actually have to save money every month. So yeah, I think that's a golden piece to be able to share with someone who might be wanting to do the same or a similar thing. In your own journey, because I'm a big mindset girl, what sort of mental blocks did you face? And then how did you overcome them to continue going when it was just you who had to show up?
Even today, I've got so many mental blocks. Over the past few years, one of the biggest mental blocks I've had is getting in front of camera. I got into photo and video because I like being behind the camera and like trying new stuff and like making a very cool image. But I've had this pull and this want to be not necessarily in front of the camera, but to like do stuff on YouTube because I watch YouTube and the community I want to be a part of is on YouTube. But I've had like for years, I just had this feeling like I got nothing to say. This looks like a lot of work. I am going to be uncomfortable in front of camera. And I had all of these excuses or blocks. And eventually just one day I was like, I'm just so fed up with telling myself, you can't do this, but you want to do this. And I just had to go record a terrible video. And then I went out the next week and recorded another terrible video and had to do that dozens and dozens of times. And I think what just pushed me past that was that I was just so fed up because I knew where I wanted to be. And I just wasn't taking the steps to do it.
Yeah. That's a good one to share, though. I feel like, see, this is one reason why I think we vibed so hard when I started coming here a couple of years ago is because you are in a completely different space than I am. Completely, a little bit. I mean, obviously, I'm filming stuff and creating content, but like I work in wellness and health, and you work in like video and photography and creation in that sense. All of the concepts that we, I guess, face, they're similar in the way that if we want to get over something, the only way to get over it is to do it, is to face it head on and be repetitive, do the reps. I go to the gym, I've got to do the reps if I want to build muscle, right? It's a very similar concept, but in a totally different space. So I think you saying that, like, okay, yeah, how did I do it? You did it by exposing yourself to it fully, which is really cool. And like you said, it's just you pushing yourself to show up.
If I were to do it again, I wish that I did what I did in the beginning. I wish I found a community of people doing what I already wanted to do. And I just went and sat and saw what they were doing, and so that they could demystify what I was doing and that I could ask them questions, and it would just lower the barrier to entry. It seems so obvious now, but like I didn't do that for years. And there was a lot of years that I could have been making cool stuff and just like be further along. So like a good community and people to ask questions would have been so important.
Yeah. And I can totally agree and relate to that. And I was about to ask too, do you have any solid mentors now, or maybe coaches or people who you've sought out in realizing that?
I don't have any necessarily one-on-one coaches. I'd like to find that. I've got some peers now that I've like vocalized what I'm doing and I'm actually making stuff. People reach out, and I found some people doing similar stuff, similar to us, where it's like we're in the same kind of field, but we make slightly different things. And that's been really encouraging and helpful. And we can just swap tips and encourage each other. And I've contemplated joining one of these cohorts or communities, even if it's paid. I used to be pretty against that because I'm like, friends are free. Just showing up I shouldn't need to just pay to show up. And I think I've had a mind shift change that people are busy. People are going to put their money where their mouth is. And so if you pay, people will show up, and to have like a dedicated community in your 30s is really difficult. If you pay, you'll probably show up, and that might be a better place to find some people.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think, I mean, both can exist. Both can exist. There's for sure our friends who are free, who give us value. But then, yeah, there is the investment piece of investing in coaches or in groups or in something. Even you could look at it in a totally different way. People who want to find people who play volleyball. They go join a volleyball team. They pay to be on that volleyball team, right?
Yeah.
Like it's very specific types of growth, because as humans, we're growing either way. We're growing. We're going to learn from each other. We're going to learn from our friends, from our partners, from whoever in our lives. But it's that very like specific growth that I think would be the difference of investing.
And sometimes friends are actually the worst too, because you say, how is this? Do you like this? Did you watch this? And they'll just sugarcoat it and be like, yeah, it's awesome. It's perfect. And sometimes if you want to get better, if you want to get further in your career, if you want to get further in your fitness and your whatever, you need people to be like, no, change this, fix this. I really like this, work on that. Like you need some actual critiques and feedback.
Yeah, like brutal honesty too, which our friends, they don't want to hurt our feelings.
Fair enough.
It's true. So right now, what would you say you're diving into the most? Because I can only go off of what I see, which is a lot of like YouTube, which is really cool, and like technology and the reviews there. What are you really diving into?
YouTube. I'm really diving into YouTube. I don't make that much money off of YouTube. And so I'm very thankful that I'm in a place that like my client work, shooting stuff for banks and for tourism companies and stuff, pays the bills. I'm very thankful that I have the opportunity to pursue YouTube more. I am getting online and getting in front of camera is kind of funny because you're experimenting and learning in public. And I just feel like every time I turn the camera on, after I turn it off, I'm like, I could have done that so much better. So I've put out a whole bunch of videos now, and I try to go through these every quarter and look back at what worked and what didn't work and figure out where I want to go further. And right now I've done a lot of stuff I like, done a lot of stuff I don't like, just continually honing in on what I enjoy doing, what's repeatable, what's easy, not necessarily what's easy, but what is like effortless for me to continue presenting about. And also trying to figure out what the audience likes and how to package stuff. Because a lot of what I do is literally just marketing. If they don't click, they don't watch.
Totally. And it's so many layers too, because it's like, okay, first, like, what's performing? Okay, what do I enjoy? Okay, what do the people like to see? Like, there's so many different components to what you're creating on YouTube. And so I guess, like, at the end of the day, yes, those things are very important. But what do you think keeps you showing up? Like, which component of all of those keeps you showing up to just keep doing it?
Oh man, it's hard to say. I think I am like loyal to a fault.
Mm,
And so I don't have this goal at the end. I just have this like interest in front of me. And I'm like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to pivot and try this thing. And so in the past, I've done drawing, I've done cross stitching, I've done needlework, I've done scrapbooking, collaging, like photos, YouTube, and it'll probably continue to evolve. And I'm just so thankful that I've been able to be like compensated for that stuff. And I'd be lying if I didn't say like the views. It's like hate looking like metrics and stuff and how many people watch your stuff. It's so addicting to look at. And
yeah.
I hate that I look at it as much as I do. But it's also interesting to see that like this topic, whatever it is, really connects with a viewer. And it's just data to be like, I can connect with more people and people really connected to this and why and how can I add more value? Ideally, YouTube could be a full-time thing.
Mm,
But on the other hand, I don't want to give up um, taking photos and doing videos for companies because I think that they feed into each other quite well. And I just don't enjoy seeing people online who just talk about doing a thing and not
mhm,
actually doing it. And I want to continue making cool things
mhm.
and be in the field making stuff.
Yeah, totally. No, so I love the creative brain. Whenever I have conversations with very creative people, I'm like, there's no direct answer. It's very much like, well, there's this and there's this and there's this, and they're all important, which I think is what makes you so good at what you do. And like when I see your content, I see it and I'm like, this is so cool from the outside looking in. I'm like, whoa, like there's got to be so much that goes into creating this 30-second Instagram reel that was clipped from a YouTube video that's longer. So, what I want to know more about, and I think other people will too, is the monetization of social media, because obviously anyone can, get comfortable creating a video, post something, throw it on Instagram, throw it on YouTube. It's free to do that. It's free to put anything out. But how do you monetize it? What is that process?
I think you need to provide some sort of value to people, whether that's entertainment, that's education, or that's inspiration. It's difficult nowadays to do that as well because social media is so saturated. So you need to be doing something so different or so unique to make somebody stop scrolling. I make some money off the internet, but it's not enough to like sustain what I do. I
Mm,
found that doing your best to be yourself on the internet and being consistent is what people and companies are drawn to. There's people online who they're not influencers and they don't have all these followers, but like every time their face pops up or their background or like I see their stuff, I'm really interested because they just tell a really interesting story or have an interesting take on stuff online. And I strive to be like that. It's really tough to also monetize like your life or what you're passionate about. Like what I do now was just my passion and it turned into the way I make money now. And it's like this complicated balance between my hobby and feeding my family. After you reach a certain point on YouTube, puts ads on your videos and
mm,
you collect a small paycheck for that as well. Like when you put a video on YouTube, it's like searchable for years versus some of the other social networks. It's got like a half a day lifespan. So I'm getting paid for videos I made years ago. If I were to do it again, I think I would actually choose a different niche on YouTube, something that I'm passionate about, but something the niche that I chose only has so many people interested in it. So there's actually like a ceiling to how many people are going to like watch my stuff. Whereas if I were to choose a topic like politics or cooking or camping, there's like a much larger network of people. And that means there's like, as well, also choose like a niche that has a lot of advertisers, and I could be probably more strategic with that.
Okay, so monetization. So it sounds like ads. Ads
A
are
lot of
kind of the main part. And I know you said a million things, so I want to touch on all of it, but ads is the first thing that came to me. And then also, you've probably heard in America, they would say the riches are in the niches. We call it a niche. And so you have niche down, but you're also like, but maybe if I niched in a different way. But isn't it true that like even if you niched in a different way, there could always be more?
oh yeah.
With anything we do, couldn't it always be bigger? Couldn't there always be more humans? Couldn't it always be a different audience? So I'm curious, because you've started monetizing, how is your relationship with contentment in the journey? I know that might be a big question.
Thankfully, I haven't attached like I get likes. I have videos that do incredible. I have videos that just absolutely flop. And because I've been doing this for so long, I just post, and whatever happens, happens. I do my best to create something and share it because I enjoy it, not
Mhm.
necessarily because I expect it to perform a certain way. And so I've detached my self-value and worth and stuff from the numbers. Now I just try to use the numbers as an indication of whether I'm onto something or whether I'm not. I'm also very thankful that another YouTube channel has hired me, and I'm one of a few hosts on their channel. And so it's a place where I can like learn from other creators, and I can also post and be a little bit more experimental on there. And I get a paycheck regardless. As much as I love the work that I do, and it like does bring me a lot of enjoyment and it brings me community and stuff, I've done my best to detach my contentment and my enjoyment and my happiness and stuff from the amount of likes or whether I like this video or not, and do my best to place it in like family, health, all of those other things outside of work. Work is just one piece of the pie.
I like that answer because I think a lot of people do definitely like put a lot of their purpose and worth behind what they do for a living. And to no fault of their own, like, especially in our society, we are driven from like, hi, who are you? What do you do? Like, it's one of the first questions that people ask when they meet a new person. And it's just become such a norm. So being able to kind of like detach from that and see like, oh, there's more to life. There's my family and, like my passions outside of creation. And that kind of guides me to what I want to know a little bit more about, which is health, because it's called the Health Chats podcast. I got to talk about health. How do you find downtime from creating and working and that whole journey?
Oh, it's so hard because the thing that I like to do in my free time, I now get paid to do. So in my free time, I want to do more of it. And then it just kind of like mixes. Is this work? Is this not? It's really tough. I have gone through my seasons of like, this is how I have downtime. And there's other seasons where it's just like absolutely horrible. Making stuff on the internet now for a couple years, I've seen the like, this is when clients need their stuff. This is a busy season. This is a quiet season. And I've done my best to embrace those. And so like in January, February, not a lot is happening. And in the past, I'm just trying to grind, or I'm really worried that nothing is ever going to happen again. And my free time is spent worrying that I'm never going to get hired for a job again. Whereas seeing these seasons, now I've done a better job of disconnecting in those seasons and guilt-free unplugging for a period of time, whether that's traveling or spending time doing the things that I enjoy. Week to week, I am really big on schedules. I'm an Enneagram 5, so I'm very structured. I'm very by the book. Knowledge is like the answer to everything. So I have found having checklists, having calendars, having structure within my week to an extent has been really helpful. So even in the midst of like a really busy week, I still have in my calendar at this time, journal for 10 minutes. This morning, go exercise for this amount of time. That's been really handy. Even if I don't do all of them, I'm still hitting like 7 out of 10 of them. And since doing that, I feel so much better. I feel more flexible. I just feel full of life. I live downtown where I choose not to drive many places. I'm forced to exercise and to move my body and to like walk to places. And I found just getting fresh air and just walking to places, getting like my blood flowing, even when it's like -40 and it like sucks. I've felt this shift that my body feels stronger than versus when I was just driving anywhere. It's hard to describe. It's
Mhm.
just, I think it's really increased my happiness and my day to day joy. There's something to moving your body, even on the days where you just feel exhausted and feeling healthy throughout the day.
Oh, you're speaking my language now. I'm like, yes, fitness, movement. And it's cool to be able to reflect on your journey too of like, this is what I used to do. I would like sit in this panic and be like, oh my goodness, where's the work coming from? Where's the clients? Like, when are they going to show up? And I think it is part of that entrepreneur journey to see like, it comes in waves. It's not a 9 to 5 where you get paid every 2 weeks and you get 2 weeks vacation. It's just not that. It's not that at all. And back to that detachment, being able to detach from that in itself is something that sounds like you've become really good at. The scheduling, I can relate. It's like if it's not in my calendar, it's not going to happen at all. My gym sessions are like doctor's appointments, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I show up. If I don't show up, who pays me? I pay the cost of not showing up. So yeah, I like to hear that you're able to prioritize it because I also know that creative work, I mean, one, entrepreneurship, but also creative work, it is so random sometimes. It's like, oh yeah, we have this job here. This weekend you were doing that. Actually, this is what's going to happen. And you want to say yes to those things because you work for yourself. The movement piece, that's a cool one, which I kind of want to bring like science into. So you're like, it's really cool how now that I'm just like walking everywhere, your movement creates movement like inside of your body. If your circulatory system is not being worked, of course it's going to feel like anytime you go from one place to another, but you're doing it within your days, within your work, you're walking there. So that's a really, really cool way. It's called non-exercise movement activity or activity movement, where you're actually getting fitness in without even like putting it in your calendar as like a gym workout. So that's really cool that you're able to prioritize that and get your steps.
The pandemic was great for me because it was the healthiest I had been in my life. I can sit here and just do absolutely nothing, or I can move and get out and do stuff. And so, funny thing is, as soon as the pandemic happened, I bought an Apple Watch off of Facebook Marketplace and had this ring goal. And every day, my purpose in the day was just like close my rings. And there was nothing to do in March 2020 except for like walk around because we didn't know what was going on. And that trend has continued. So I close my rings every day. It's like gamifying, moving, clicked something in my head, and it just built the habit of every day need to move my body somehow. And I can feel it on the days that I don't move my body or I move less. A lot of times it's solved by just going out for a walk for 15 or 20 minutes. I mean, the Apple Watch has been incredible for me and
Yeah.
just gamifying stuff.
I think it's awesome that you bring technology back into it. Cause I've got an Apple Watch and I'm with you there. I'm like, I gotta close my rings or I can't go to sleep. But it's true. And you're able to like gamify your life and like add that exciting piece that's like, oh God. And then you can add friends onto it too. That's like, we're both going for our steps.
It's that community piece.
It is that community piece. But I want to use that to kind of loop back to technology creation again. Obviously, when you're creating on YouTube, on Instagram, on these platforms, it's a lot of time spent behind the device, which studies have shown can be really, really bad for you mentally. So we have our physical health, which we've kind of talked about, but then there's like the mental piece. How would you say being behind a screen and using your phone and your devices has negatively impacted your mental? And you seem like you're in a very stable place now. How have you come out of it? I hope you are.
I hope I am too. I mean, I am not perfect with it. Other than just like looking at my screen for entertainment, I'm also sitting behind a computer, ingesting footage, editing, responding to emails, doing like all the stuff. Like I'm in front of a screen most of the day. And so having that, like, I need to like get up and move. I don't know if I've had like a really unhealthy season, like being in front of my device. I think what is unhealthy for me is like always trying to like optimize to have like the cleanest desktop or to have like a system that like works perfectly. It's not like, wow, I spend too much time on TikTok or whatever.
Mm,
It's my like perfectionist brain always trying to improve something or to get just a little bit further by having a cleaner inbox or whatever. And I struggle with that all the time. I haven't solved it. I've got just better at it. I've realized that there's always going to be something to do on the checklist. There's always going to be an email to respond to, always a old photo to edit or something. And it's okay. It's never going to be solved. And I think I've always wanted, I need to find a hobby. I've had my hobby turned into what I get paid to do. And I just need to find a hobby and be okay with unplugging from the camera and the computer and just go immerse myself in that. And I need to take my own advice and just treat it like an experiment. Like just, I'm going to try sewing for a month and see what that is. And then there's no commitment to it. This summer, I've been running more. And it's so in my free time, instead of getting a little bit further on an edit or something, I'll put my shoes on, go for a run for 30 minutes. And that's been awesome. But honestly, I would like another hobby,
uh,
to be honest.
that's outside of it.
Yeah, that's real.
I can, I appreciate that, Chair. I can relate to being a creator and not a consumer, but that creation sometimes being to a fault. That's like, well, now I'm trying to systemize and optimize and automate and all of the words, absolutely everything in my life. And then, when we leave this world, it's like, okay, so everything out here isn't perfect because it isn't. Life isn't perfect. But it can kind of create that like dissonance almost between reality and like this reality that we created in here. So I think it's super healthy to be able to look for hobbies. I've done something similar this year. I started taking Spanish lessons.
Nice.
Yeah. Can't really monetize that. Can't systemize, optimize anything eyes that. It's just like a different part of my brain that's like, whoa, this is hard. It's just different. And I think it's really healthy to have that. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I've been doing these quarterly check-ins and with myself.
Mm.
And part of that is rating portions of my life out of 10, how they're doing. How's my work life going? How's my relationship life going? How's my health life going? And then kind of breaking those down. And I've noticed in the past few years, my work life in terms of like money and passion and career and stuff I've always ranked it pretty high. And I've been ranking my family life and my romance and my friends and my other things lower than I'd like to. And I've just continually been ranking them low and seeing I need to prioritize these things. Work is important, but so is family and so are relationships and so are hobbies. And if I don't consciously make a change, that's not going to happen. And that'll probably come at the cost of money and career and stuff, but probably having a 6 out of 10 career and having a 6 out of 10 family relationship is a lot better than having like a 0 family relationship. And yeah, just the older I get, I'm like, I'm doing all this work, I'm making all this money, I'm doing all this stuff, but like, for what? And why am I doing all of this? And does it have a purpose? And is it helping people? Is it helping my relationships? What kind of freedom is this building me, if any?
That's so vulnerable. And I really appreciate that too, because it's true. It's so true. Like, I think, again, in our society, and I see a shift through having these sorts of conversations where we're realizing that it is less about the external and more about that internal. And like, what's internal? It's it's connection with ourselves and then with other people. That stuff, you can't go and get a new job. You can't go and get, a new wife, a new baby. Like, yes, you can, but the depth that's created in those relationships, it doesn't happen overnight. Like, the new iPhone that comes out and the new other technological device and whatever. And yes, while those things are cool, I think it's a cool shift to be able to step back and zoom out and say, like, okay, where is most of my time going and how is this making me and other people feel? Very holistic of you, Davey. Very holistic. I love it. It's great. So I want to move towards kind of wrapping up. You've mentioned a couple of times in this conversation, like, if I were to do it again, this is how I would do it. So if you could whisper one piece of advice to your younger creator self, I know you've mentioned a few, but right now, what would that piece of advice be?
Probably just start and don't worry about who's watching because they don't care. Just start. Make some mistakes.
Yeah, that's great. Such good advice. Nike said it. Just do it.
Just do it.
And Davey said, just start. Okay. Last one. How do you define success in your life right now?
I see success as being able to do what you want to do when you want to do it. Success to me is being able to be in control of your time. Personally, I don't think I'm there. I think I've got a long way to go in terms of how I want to be spending my time, but I'm getting closer each year.
That's a great answer. And I love to ask everyone that question because I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. But the common theme that most people who I admire and look up to and am inspired by in some way, the way you answer is, it's not financial.
No.
And of course, money plays a part because that's the world we live in and we have to make money so we can spend money and we can do things and have experiences. But I think being able to spend the time how you want to spend it, I agree. I think that feels like success to me too. So yeah, great answer. This has been a great conversation. If anyone is like, I want to follow Davey and work with him and learn from him, plug away.
Davey Gravy on all the platforms. Davey_Gravy.
Sweet. Okay. Peace.